Welcome to Community Chats, bringing you stories and insights from the heart of Community Living Toronto, a nonprofit organization that proudly supports people with intellectual disabilities and their families. We will focus on stories of belonging and inclusion and topics of interest from communities across Ontario and the world. From uplifting moments to breaking barriers, from innovative policies to ideas from leading thinkers, we continue to advocate for inclusive communities and support the rights and choices of people with an intellectual disability.
Hello, I'm Brad Saunders. I'm the CEO at Community Living Toronto, and welcome to our Community Chats podcast. These podcasts are an opportunity to share, learn, and understand each other better. These are one of the ways we like to stay connected with our community, and we really do value your feedback. Today we're talking with Kelly, and she shares her journey from being adopted as a child to living in group homes and in some less than desirable housing situations. She's currently really happy with the home that she has and with the supports that enable her to live a good life in the community. Kelly also shares a very personal story. Over the past couple of years, Kelly has become more comfortable sharing the fact that she is part of the LGBTQ community. In fact, this past May, she raised the inclusion flag at the City of Toronto with Mayor Olivia Chow. Kelly has a lot to share. We can learn a lot from her. We had a great conversation, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Kelly, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thanks for agreeing to do this podcast. Look forward to having a good conversation for the next number of minutes and learning a little bit about the journey you've been on in the last little bit. Maybe to get things started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Kelly. Of course, everybody knows that. I was adopted almost a year after I was born. Not really a year, actually. It was till January of 1994. And adopted in an okay family, moving on around 10 or 11 years old. I had to move into my first group home, and they helped me out a great deal. And then I was on ODSP ever since then. And then moving along, I moved out on the age 21 into a second group home, and then that was the basement apartment of that group home. And now going from there, I went to live somewhere else, and that was at 833 Kennedy, and that wasn't a very good place.
Right, you've talked about that. So you've had a bit of a number of different experiences and different ways of receiving support, and lived in a few different environments. What was your experience of living in different homes and different locations? What was that like for you?
It was good. It was a little bit hard, but it was good. The staff were amazing, and they weren't mean. They were very accepting, 100% accepting, extremely loving. Felt like I was their kid.
That's good to hear.
They were warm and very funny, and they just had a great heart. And they kept me well, and they helped me out, and they brought me up a little bit more, like since the age of 10. And then I've always kept in touch with my aunt and uncle who live in Ottawa. It was two group homes that I was in. They helped me with no matter what I needed. They helped me through everything. We went on trips. We went to Dominican Republic and Jamaica, just for the fun of it. And,
nice.
Got sick twice.
Sick twice while you were there?
Yeah, we got sick in Dominican, and then went to Jamaica, and I got sick there.
Was it the sun? Was it the food? Was it too much?
It was the water.
The water. Okay.
Yeah, somehow the water was tainted and everything. It's horrible. I really didn't
Okay.
need water, but they said, "Oh, drink pop," and I'm like, "Pop's not gonna help."
Uh, so lesson learned, but I'm glad you got to go to those places. Other than that, than getting sick,
Yeah.
were the trips worthwhile?
Well, the problem with flying is that I'm not a good flyer. I do not like airplanes because they scare me.
Yeah,
I'd rather be on ground. Like,
that's fair enough.
you
I
know,
always think it's not so much flying that I'm afraid of. It's the crashing. I don't
yes,
want to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
same here.
Anyway, but
I
it's
would
a
never.
very safe way to travel. Glad you made it back.
So
You
they
you
say.
talk Yeah, yeah. You talked about moving to a number of different places, including a basement apartment and living
Yeah,
on an apartment on Kennedy Road. And you and I have talked about that. Wasn't your favorite place to live for a number of reasons. And then in the last couple of years now, you've been looking forward to and then recently moved into
yeah,
a new home. And do you want to talk about that and what led to this change for you?
yeah. This October of last year, I think it was the 26th. Can't remember well. Um, I moved here, but when I moved here, it was still being made up, still being built.
Yeah.
And so it was freezing at night. And I was like kind of annoyed because I wanted to be warm since it was really cold out. Uh, um, so it was good, but a little challenging, but I got over it. It's like when I was told from when I was living in my first group home, they said, "Well, you're sick now, but if you're getting over it like a trooper," and I'm like, "That's just gonna stick in my head."
Good, good,
Get through anything.
good. Now you've been generous in showing your apartment to
I
people
love doing that.
through tours, right? In the last little bit, you've had a number of people come in and through, and you live in a beautiful home that you've got nicely decorated. Do you live with a roommate, or are
No,
you living solo?
I live by myself because I find it easier. Like living with two roommates, this is very, very hard. And I said to myself, I can't do this. I'd had trouble with them. They caused me trouble. And um I will say this. There was one roommate I had, the first roommate I had, they were supposed to clean the apartment. When you have a roommate, you have to clean up this together. You can't just let one do it because it's not right.
Yeah,
Like it's considered rude.
yeah,
That's-
it can be pretty challenging when you're living with somebody and you've got different standards around what clean is or who does what.
Yeah,
So this is that living in an apartment on your own suits you much better.
yeah. Well, yeah, but I got staff now to help me clean, which is a lot more different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So tell me about that. You've got staff that are coming in to your home to support you, or
Yeah,
what role do they do there for you?
one staff, she comes once a week, but she is not a part of Birch Mountain Green. She's like
Okay,
some other place, and then through community living. But she comes helps me for a few hours,
great.
and we just when we're finished working on the apartment, we'll just chat or something. And then there's others around here. There is a few hubs in this building that has overnight staff, which
Right.
is very nice. And then I have I've staffed from the office that's down on the first floor.
Okay.
And then I have Robert, of course, on well, well, yeah,
Good. So you feel well supported in your new home.
100%. Yeah, even my aunt and
Good.
uncle are happy about that too.
Oh, good. Your aunt and uncle from Ottawa.
Yeah,
Great, great. Have
they're
they been
happy
down to
about.
visit yet, or?
No, Well, they're in their 70s, and they're like,
Okay.
they have bad health problems and they can barely walk, so it's kind
So
of
you stay,
sad. You know,
yeah,
I haven't
that's,
seen them for a long time.
well, the nice thing these days is with technology and FaceTime and all that, you can connect with people and
Yeah.
without and still see the environment, feel like you're getting together. That's excellent. Now you're also a big Doctor Who fan. How did that come to pass? Can you talk about your passion there?
Well, it started in 1996 when I moved into the first place for my server mate.
Yeah.
She's out somewhere and I'm just sitting home and I'm doing nothing, and I just flipped through the channels. I came across this movie and I started watching it. I'm like, science fiction, I could do with that. I love it. I'm like realizing it said it was a Doctor Who movie. It's only one Doctor Who movie. And I fell in love with it. I'm like, what's this show called? And I'm like realizing it was called Doctor Who. And I'm like,
Okay.
never heard of this before. And then I started watching it ever since. So I still
Excellent.
watch.
Do you have a favorite Doctor?
Well, it goes by number, and they are Time Lords. So I'm gonna skip a few. They said you're not supposed to if you're a true Whovian.
Oh,
If you're a
because it's
real
always the
Whovian, you're
same
not supposed to
person.
skip any one of them. But I skipped some.
Okay.
like
Okay.
I I love I love the Eighth Doctor, Ninth Doctor, 11th Doctor, the 13th Doctor, and 14th Doctor.
Clearly
No,
you're
15th
you're
Doctor. Sorry.
clearly you're a dedicated Doctor Who fan.
Yeah.
That's good. You've got a very cool poster that has all of the doctors sort of listed.
Yeah,
I thought that, or
except
pictures
for
of them all.
except for three more.
Well, the new
There
ones,
was
right?
the
So the post.
12th Doctor, the 13th Doctor, the 14th Doctor, and the 15th Doctor. So that's
That's
a very
great.
old picture.
Ah, it's still very, very cool.
Yeah.
Now you, in the last little bit, you've talked about you've learned a number, you've come out with a number of things about yourself that have been very interesting to people that know you, and I've talked about this, or you've talked about this earlier this year. You at the beginning of May, you were invited to an event at Toronto City Hall with Mayor Olivia Chow. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it was moving, and I I've never been to that before, and I basically almost cried while I was giving the speech.
What was the event?
Because it was so gripping and moving. It's like I don't know how to explain it. I was in love with it at first, like when was there, and I thought, well, I'm never going back.
Yeah, yeah. So you've gone through some learning about yourself or some comforting. You knew who you are, but you've become much more comfortable sharing that with other people. Do you want to talk
Yeah.
about what you've shared with people in the last couple of years?
Now to try like last year to, but I thought, well, I've got to keep it to myself from what I know. Now I got to keep it to myself because who knows
Right.
whether or not people are not going to be accepting or not. So that was the staff before. And yes, there was one staff, I'm not naming names.
Yeah.
And then, so the only thing was is that, through a supervisor, she should have not, I'm not naming names, but she should have not almost outed me. It's called outed.
Right.
She was close to outed me, and I wasn't too pleased about that because when people are in the LGBTQ community and they want to come out, but they fear that they can't because they're scared.
Right.
It's a personal thing.
Right.
And that one supervisor, asked me if she could put that in my book, and I was thinking, you can't do that
Right.
unless I tell you it's okay. But to be honest with you, it's not okay, because this is how I would suggest not, because I'm gonna do this myself. You cannot do this. I do it.
Right.
And she kept asking me constantly, and then she tried conning me into it, and she conned me into it. Now she wrote it in my book, and
Right.
it's all in my book, and now it's there. And that one staff asked me, "Oh, so you're in the LGBTQ community?" And I was thinking, yeah, so what's your point?
Right.
And that's that one person that is not really fond of it. It's just
Right.
not very good at that time. But then when I came here, I was thinking, I'm waiting to come out. Should I or shouldn't I? And I'm seeing that the staff is good with them, with other people, Kevin, and she's part of it too. He's very outgoing, and he's uh they talk to him like a normal person, and I was like, I can do this. I can tell them what's going on, and they'd be accepting, and I know it because I feel it. So I told them, and they're like, it doesn't matter because we're accepting you. And I showed them my flag, like I showed everybody my flag, and they're like, "Wow, you should put that on your wall." And it is on my wall. It's hanging on like a one um thing on my wall,
Yeah.
but
So
I want to spread
through,
it out so it's like draped on my wall this
yeah,
way.
it looks great. So you've gone through a journey then of being very private about your sexuality and being a member of the LGBTQ community to
Yeah,
telling certain people to being much more comfortable talking about it and
yeah,
being out.
yeah,
And that culminated in you taking a very public stand in May, where you
yeah,
were invited by the mayor to raise the progress flag at City Hall.
yeah. Well, the thing
And
is that, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead, please.
The thing is with that is that I've learned that you don't have to come out unless you want to.
Right,
It shouldn't be forced to come out. She's gonna come out and do it, but if you don't feel comfortable and you feel scared, don't do it. It's not
right,
that you're in the closet. You're gonna be safe, just as long as people are around you are gonna be a safe space for you.
right. That's good. And so that day, being there, raising the flag, I believe you got a certificate. You spoke with the mayor. You raised
Yeah.
the inclusion flag. What was that like for you? What did it mean to you?
My doing the whole thing, I basically almost cried. I had to stop myself because it was so like I can't say overwhelming. It's just it was crazy, and it was gripping. I'm like, I'm glad I'm doing this.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to do something like this. And then doing my speech, I was close to crying in my speech. And I'm like, everybody's like, it's okay, because we were almost crying too. It's like, I kind of stopped myself.
yeah. That's great. You've been an inspiration to a lot. I think I've said to you in the past that you and I are friends on Facebook,
Yeah.
and for you had the habit or the practice of walking up to the new building up at Birchmount Green as it was being built,
Yeah.
and taking pictures and making captions and saying, the construction's coming. I can't believe I'm going to live here. Can't wait for it to get done. And as delays happened, as they inevitably do when you build something, you put out your disappointment that you wanted to get done and that. So
Yeah.
I would see that from time to time, and I really was inspired by your passion to get into a new home, and that your excitement about it. It was great to see. So you've certainly been through a lot of changes in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it was great. Like I well, this is gonna sound nuts, but I did it. I don't know how this happened. Like I don't know how see I people are gonna say it's fake, but it's not because it's real. Extrasensory perception, maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Predictions, sometimes predictions work and sometimes they don't. Like it's like a hit or a miss. And a couple years back, I said to myself, I can't do this anymore. I don't know why I'm living here. This is wrong. I'm living in a
yeah.
building where I should not be living in
Right,
a very bad rundown building because of my asthma. And I said to myself, I'm moving, and I know I'm moving. It just takes time. And then
right.
I looked up something and I came across this thing and it said Birchmont Green. I'm like, wait a minute, I know something is going to happen, and I know it's going to happen eventually. I don't know when, but it's going to happen, and it might take a few years. And then all of a sudden, last year, people are like, "Hey, would you like to move?" And I was like, "I would love to." They
It's
said a one-bedroom apartment. I was like, "Wait, you're kidding me, right?" They said no,
right,
and I was said in the same building. They said no, in a brand new building, and I was like, okay, I was about to like faint because it
right.
was the best feeling ever. I couldn't believe it.
So whether it was ESP or a premonition or just really good timing and
I
good fortune,
the
I'm
weirdest,
glad it's come to happen for you.
yeah, well, the weirdest thing about that is that it is dreams. I had dreams. I had like it's daydreams, I guess.
Yeah,
And then there was like small little clips here and there. You know how there's like pictures, you know,
right,
in your mind, and then there's like um and then there's the feeling, and then there's the like it's like a weight, and it's not enclosed. It's like a big weight, but it's not a bad weight. It's a good weight.
right.
You know you're gonna something exciting is gonna happen. I was
That's
like,
great. That's
when I
great.
found out I was gonna move, I was blown away. I'm like, I don't know how to explain it, but
I think you're explaining it really well. I, th I would also say that one of the things that you've shared with us is that you had done a lunch and learn with some of our staff a number of months ago, and Community Living Toronto has been trying to do a better job at diversity and equity and inclusion. And we have a group called the Pride Collective that supports staff who want to be more full and more themselves at work.
yeah,
And you were generous enough to share your story to help staff understand around you don't know, sometimes staff are trying to be supportive and recognize, in your case, recognizing that you were a member of the LGBTQ community, you weren't comfortable at that point being there, but you got there over time. And I think that was really helpful for people to know and understand the impact of some of the things that people do. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't, but you were very clear on what your journey was.
well, I was comfortable. I just was like thinking, like thinking in my brain where it's like a little, I don't know. You think about it when when you watch
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
computer load,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
stupid thing keeps going around. You're like waiting forever.
The
That's the
spinning
way my
circle of,
brain kept
yeah,
going and going and going. I'm like, well, okay, maybe I can. It's okay because it's a safe space.
yeah.
And then I might, you know what, it's okay because it works out for me. So
Well,
it's not like I wasn't uncomfortable about it. It was
yeah, yeah,
more
yeah.
like
No, that's really good.
needed
And
to figure
I
things
think
out beforehand.
that really resonates. That really makes sense around, you had a lot of thinking and processing that you had to do for yourself before you got to this place. So just got a minute or two left. How are you how are you settling now? You've got a new home, and you've had some big experiences in the last little bit. How are things for you now?
I feel like I'm gonna faint. Well, I feel like I'm gonna cry off and on because this is like I keep thinking it's not real, it's real.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, I got some friends in this building.
Yeah.
And there's a friend that I know since high school who lives in this building.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
And there's a friend somebody I know that used to work in the same place that I used to work at in this building.
Right.
So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, you're a little community within a community that's developed for you. That's good. Kelly, you're an inspiration for us.
Thanks. And what we're doing is that we have little recreational stuff in the party room. So Mondays we have art, and sometimes Thursday we have bingo.
Yeah. And you participated in a lot of those.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my artwork. I think I can do it.
Okay.
Easy.
I think one of the issues that can come up. Oh, that's beautiful. You made that. You made that as part of the activities that you do in the building.
That's artwork. Yeah.
That's
but
great.
I have to sort of do more of it because it doesn't look right. There's like black on the beige, which should not be.
Yeah. No, it looks really good. The final question, and I just wanted to make a point. You talked about doing things within the building and having lots of friends, and I know you get out a lot, because one of the downsides of living on your own is that there's a risk of being lonely or a risk of being isolated. And it sounds like that's not you. You've got lots of connections. You're connected with your community. You've got some people that are around to support you, and you're thriving. It would seem to me. Great.
I'm not lonely.
Great. You're not. Excellent. Got one final question before we sign off. And the question is around belonging. I'd love to hear what belonging means to you.
God. I don't know. That's a hard one. Why is it so hard? I don't know. Just the acceptance and love and happiness and wonder and hoping that hoping the best, like something better, even more better than
That's great. All right. Kelly, thanks for taking the time today to chat. Really appreciate everything that you've shared with us. You continue to inspire us, and thanks for sharing, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks. Kelly's optimism is contagious. She is living the life she wants and is a good place, comfortable with where she lives and with who she is. As the building that she's now living in was being constructed, Kelly kept posting pictures of it being built throughout. And as I mentioned in the podcast, she kind of inspired me in our work that we're doing around creating inclusive, nice homes for people to live across the city. Thank you for joining our Community Chats podcast this week. We release a new edition on the 15th and 30th of each month, so please subscribe and keep up to date. Thanks for joining, and see you next time.
Don't forget to join us next time as we unpack the power of community through collaborative initiatives and shared experiences. Available on Buzzsprout, Spotify, Audible, and YouTube. Follow us on social media @CL Toronto. Let's chat, share, and spread those good vibes together. We hope these discussions will inspire you and give new ideas to add your voice to our mission of making our communities and neighborhoods inclusive and welcoming.